Snyder for the last match, for the individual title, for the world team title.
That's possible.
It is possible.
Yes. It could be a tie, but hold on. I'm looking through Kozak's article. I wonder if there's like some kind of a scenario for tie. But yeah, it might be a tie. Let me see here.
Do us by 5, but they have 2 wrestlers, so they have the medal match at 70 bronze. The Iranian guy actually lost to whomever, I think Armenia or something.
Yep.
And so the Russians the only one in that match. So Iran is now out because they have 1 bronze medal match, but they are 6 behind Russia and 11 behind us or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, after the fact, we are previous to, obviously, the medal matches today, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen yet. Is it bad that I almost kind of want...
Uh-oh. Hey, can you guys hear me? Because Facebook's saying they can't hear me. I just clicked over there.
We're good now. We're good.
All right.
Okay. Is it bad that I kind of want... Russia to win that 70 kilogram bronze match?
Of course you do, JD. You're Comrade Raider. What?
Well, no, but then I want Sadulaev, or I want Snyder to win and beat Sadulaev and win the team title because, like, that is my favorite wrestling fan moment of all time was 2017 when he beat Sadulaev for the team title. It was incredible.
Okay, so Kurt is saying in the chat, 70 Russia must win in order for Russia to have a chance of winning. So does that mean we would win the tiebreaker? Is there a tiebreaker? I didn't even know there was a tiebreaker.
That's what I wonder. I wonder if there is.
Where's our expert Kozak at?
Yeah, Kozak. I'm gonna hit him up. He might be hanging out on Slack.
Because you definitely get 5 points for going from second to first, and that's the amount that they're behind us right now. Mm-hmm. Or maybe, they would tie us in gold medalists if they win that because we both have 3. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, because right now we both have 6 medalists. They're actually going to get 1 more than us. They're going to get 8. We're going to get 7, and then both teams have a 5th and a 7th place.
Yeah. I hit up Kozak. I bet he'll get back with us here momentarily.
Okay. Nice. So that was a pretty fun session after we got off the show yesterday because we had Thomas Gilman, Jordan Burroughs won world titles. It was really great. And those damn horns in Iran, they got pretty quiet because they lost 3 semifinals. No, sorry, they lost 4 finals in a row, right?
Yeah.
No, 3. They won the last one.
Yeah, they won the last one.
Gassimpur won at 92.
Yes. They lost 3 in a row, and then they won the last one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good. I mean, 3-0 for Team USA yesterday. So Jaden Cox and Jordan Burroughs both undefeated in medal matches in their careers. That's pretty cool. Not a lot of people could say that.
Yeah, I was actually thinking. I was thinking about this team that we have right now. We've kind of talked about the golden era that we're in, but we have. Let's see. So Snyder's got 7 medals now. Burroughs has 8, right?
9.
He's got 9. Oh yeah, he's got 9. Burroughs has 9. Snyder has 7. Now Taylor has 3. Dake has 4. Cox has 5. Gwiz has 2. Gilman has 3. Like I would be really shocked if there's ever been a time where Team USA and Green still has 2, where there's been a team with this many multiple time world medalists. And it would be funny if you did, from like more than 1 to then like 3 and more, 4 and more, 5 and more. I feel like, and then honestly, a lot of these guys, I don't think this is their last team. So that number could really go up.
And 9 of 10 are final, or let's see, 9 of 10 are medalists. 9 of 10 of the world team members already have at least 1 medal.
And Yanni, who is very young and, let's be honest, has the potential to go on and win medals in the future.
And 8 of those 10 have already been in the finals. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so crazy, right? So I think really golden era. Golden era of American wrestling. So you want to talk about Gilman? I thought he did a great job. Obviously man, I would say, and I don't want to give too much credit to Penn State because Christian thinks I'm already crazy. I'm trying to give them the damn USA RTC. Gilman is much changed. You know, he was smart enough to see that he had a few deficiencies that he wanted to fix. He moved to Penn State, and he's really kind of tightened up a few different areas. And he's almost, in my opinion, a different wrestler than he was when he went there, which is, I think it's like 2 years ago now or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I'm just really impressed by him.
He is. The thing that was really interesting for me to see yesterday in that finals match was for him to beat the Iranian with the underhook. And obviously he's been an underhook guy forever.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting though that like in that finals match in particular, it was a skill that he honed and developed at Iowa that he was able to use to really get the job done there. So it's not like he's, completely changed or revolutionized his style. He's still that same guy now, just with a few more options, right?
So I mean that's kind of when I think about developing wrestlers, and obviously I think about this a lot because this is what I do with AWA is if someone has even if someone comes in, I haven't coached them, right, and they have a great skill. I don't want to take the great skill away, but let's add to it and let's build around it. Let's add a couple things. And I always think, and Gilman would, I don't know if he'd really fit in this category, but it's like I tell kids like, well, you can go to their left leg with a single leg really well, but you don't really have a great attack to the right leg. So let's be able to go both ways because that makes you more dangerous. Or you go to their legs well, but you don't snap them down at all. So now they can get low. And so you think about like building a great wrestler. It's just about a lot of times it's about adding a couple skills, and that was kind of what Gilman did. So I feel like the big add was his leg attack finishing skills. Like I feel like he was always kind of good at getting in the legs, and if the guy wasn't very good, he was strong up to horse through it. And now he's just a really proficient finisher once he gets on there. And that was what we saw in the finals. He was able to finish, I think, a single leg and a high crotch, or was it 2 single legs?
By the way, I'm reading the official UWW rule book.
Kozak just hit me up about this too.
Yep, it's the highest number of points, and then if it's tied, it's the highest classification points, highest victories by fall, highest match victories by superiority, the highest technical points scored, the fewest technical points given, and then the lowest draw number.
So USA, if they lose at 70, if they win at 70 and then Sadulaev beats Snyder, Snyder beats Sadulaev, then USA would have the same amount of golds as Russia, but we would have more silvers, and that's the criteria that it would go to. So that's why Russia has to win both of those matches.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's have them lose at 70. Can we do that?
Yeah. If they do, we might have to
last match stress free.
I mean, if they do that, then we're gonna.
I live for the stress, though.
You live for it?
Yes.
That's good. Pressure makes diamonds, and this is the kind of pressure. This is the kind of pressure you can handle. So if they do, if they do lose at 70, then who's the guy we really owe a lot to?
Is it? It's Armenia or Kyrgyzstan or something to that effect.
I think it's Armenia.
It's Armenia.
It would be what is this guy's name?
Well, that's got to be a Russian.
Andresian.
Armand.
No, that's an Armenian name.
That's Armenian name. You're right.
He almost blew it. He was so tired against Iran in his repechage match, but he held on.
If he wins, let's invite him over for a party,
Absolutely. Nah. Oh, he kind of got worked by Kyrgyzstan. I'm not so confident in that.
Yeah, me either.
No, Zerbaev's definitely going to be a large favorite.
Zerbaev probably was the favorite to win the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Okay, so let's go next to Gil. Maybe more thoughts on Gilman. I guess the other thing I almost don't want to talk about because I don't want to bother his 5 minutes in the spotlight. But obviously, we're thinking about Spencer versus Gilman. That's going to be so much fun next year, isn't it?
So much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's Spencer's the guy that the Hawkeyes have been waiting on for a long, long time. And I've been thinking about the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, and they get a lot of criticism. They didn't have they had only one wrestler in the world team, or excuse me, in the Olympic trials. They won, I think, was it 0 matches at the Olympic trials, and then nobody wrestled at the world team trials. And so it's like, this big question, what's happening, what's going on? Imagine if COVID hadn't happened, right? They would have had Gilman, they would have had Kayla Miracle, they would have had Forrest Molinari, they would have had Allie Reagan.
Wait, because you're assuming if COVID doesn't happen, everyone stays there? Is that what we're assuming? Or
well,
what?
no, I mean, I'm not assuming. Like, the Olympic trials were weeks away.
Sure. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, they were on that team. Like, they were ready to go. Hawkeye Wrestling Club had invested in that tournament. Like, they had been building towards that tournament, that moment. And then Spencer Lee was going to join, that group, or maybe that group would have moved on after 2020. Who knows? But the Hawkeye Wrestling Club would have looked very, very different, and all of a sudden, drastic changes, and so I don't know. Everyone knows that they're just waiting for a lot of these guys to come through the college program. They're going to be like the core of the RTC, and now they're starting a women's program, so there's going to be investment into their women's side of their RTC. They've already begun doing that, so it's going to be not just Gilman, Spencer Lee, but it's going to be, here's this Hawkeye Wrestling Club making its first moves back into, trying to be a really big prominent force on the senior level. And that is going to be the matchup that everyone points to as a signal for, can they really do that and make it happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So much fun.
Where does this kind of stack Gilman up against great 57 kilo guys, like, of all time? Now he's got
3 medals.
3 total medals, a world gold, Olympic silver, and another
so
world
funny
medal.
Because I feel like his stock has changed so rapidly now in the course of the last 2 months.
Yeah, it really
because
has.
a lot of people were not very high on him going to Worlds. They kind of wrote off his silver medal as kind of a little bit fluky. Because if you remember, there was a couple of moments. He'd lost the NCAA title in 18. And then there was a couple matches where he was down like 8-0. So we're like, okay, he used his gas tank, but that's not going to work in the Worlds. Then he gets into the World Finals. And then, obviously going into this trials, he had a few, the tournament in France. He had a few kind of like down moments where a lot of people were like, man, I'm not sure he's going to make the team. A lot of people were picking Soriano. And Booty made the team. And then even going into making the team, they weren't that high on him. And then all of a sudden, and listen, I will say, I was not expecting that performance. He wrestled out of his mind at the Olympics, and he wrestled out of his mind. And so now, again, we talk about, did he peak, or has he set a new plateau of this is just how good he is? And I think that's the answer, is this is how good he is now.
Yeah. I was talking to Michael Sears on our grappling team. He loves wrestling, but he doesn't, he just has this very different perspective of it. He's not in it every day. And we think about Gilman and how people think of him and all this stuff. And as soon as he won, he's like, wait. He's like, so he's got almost the same credentials as Terry Brands? He said that as like, dang, dude, he really does. If he would have won in the finals in 17, he would have the same senior level credentials as Terry Brands. Wild, right? To think that's just not even a category you would have ever thought of putting Gilman in. And now when you look at the lightweights, I mean, you have to. He's right there. You think before about a guy like Coleman Scott, Olympic bronze, and you would compare Coleman Scott and Gilman's career. I think before, like 6 months ago, and you say, well, Coleman's Olympic bronze probably outweighs Gilman's world silver, and it's like, well, dude, now he just passed. I mean, he's passed a whole bunch of people in the last couple months.
Real fast.
Crazy.
And he's even like looking at 57, like Kendall Cross, like he's just but, like Olympic gold medalist, but like, how do you weigh one Olympic silver with a world title and another world medal?
Mm-hmm. For me, I mean, I've said this to guys before. Obviously, from a social perspective, the Olympics is way higher than the Worlds, but it is essentially the same thing, right? It's the World Championships with fewer participants, and yes, maybe more people stick around, and then some people retire after that 4th year of the cycle. But it is a World Championships. You have to beat everyone in the world to win, just like you would at the World Championships. And so, Gilman now has 3 world medals. He did it. What was I mistaken on 18? Was it actually 17?
17.
It was 17. Okay, so he did it in 17, and now we'll say 20, and 21. Man, that weighs heavily. I think for sure above Kendall Cross. I mean, then the argument you would go back to is like, obviously he never won an NCAA title, so from a college career perspective, if we're putting a value on that, his is a little lower. But if we're saying just international career, that's it exclusively. You got to put him above Kendall for sure.
And he became just the 4th ever American to never win an NCAA title but win a world title.
4th ever. Can you name the other 3? I got to be. Let's see. Ben or John Peterson is 1. Jameel Kelly took silver. He did not win an NCAA title. Well, Kyle Snyder won a world title before he won an NCAA title. Does that count?
At the time, it would have.
The time it
True.
would have.
Maybe my numbers are a little off too, but I was thinking
How'd you get 4?
Klingman. I was talking to him about it, but yeah, now that you say that, I've kind of forgot some of them, but Lloyd Keiser, Zeke Jones, Kevin Jackson.
Oh yeah, Kevin Jackson never won an NCAA title. Yeah, so I mean, if we're obviously evaluating Gilman's career, college career, he would rank a lot lower because he did the success that other people had. But his international career is really outstanding now, and obviously, if he can hold off the Spencer Lee charge, he's going to be the rep for the next 3 years, and I think there's an above-average chance he gets 3 more medals.
Man.
I mean, when you start thinking about, like, Kyle Snyder has 7 freaking world medals. Holy crap! Like
7 medals at the age before Dakin Taylor had ever made a team.
He's 25 years old.
It's so crazy to think about. How many Americans in history have 7 medals? It can't be. The numbers have to be a very small amount.
Jordan,
Bruce, obviously, but even like John Smith got 6. He ain't got 7. Maybe one of the Schultz brothers has a whole bunch. I think Mark's got 3 world titles. I think he's got like 6 or.
I still don't think they have 7.
They got a lot. I don't know what the number is. Obviously, he was kept off. So Dave was kept off the team a whole bunch of times with Kenny Monday, but he did have a handful of medals. Yeah, the number's really small. How many people have 7 world medals? So impressive. So hey, let's talk about Burrow's final. That guy had nothing for him.
Dave had 7. Mark had 3. By the way.
Okay. All right. Cool. So I was correct on Dave. The World Finals for Jordan, he looked really good. The other guy just had nothing for him. And this and we talk about 6. He could go a ways at this weight. I don't know if Russia has another representative they can send, but this Iranian doesn't really have anything for him. The only one match that was even competitive with him was Russia. So he looked just so good here.
Yeah, Iran, he tried to do like a very square but wide stance, and he actually held off Burroughs for the first period.
A little bit, yeah.
But then Burroughs got to 2 vintage just freight train doubles in the second and ended up winning 5-1. Weird hands to the face call at the end, but
that was so annoying. But the Iranian had no offense. Like even when he was losing, he took literally 0 shots. I don't believe he shot one time, even once he was down 5-0. So that's a match where it's like, well, Burroughs only has to get 1 takedown to win that match. I mean, the guy had nothing to offer him.
Yeah, and with the torn calf too, right? Like he revealed afterwards.
Christian made fun of me yesterday when he texted me about that. Have you guys ever heard of anyone tearing their calf? Because I've heard of an Achilles, I've heard of an ankle, I've heard of an LCL, MCL,
but never calf.
Yeah, never calf. That's really strange. I don't know why, if it's like protected by the knee. The knee gives way first, or the Achilles gives way first. But I've never heard of a torn calf.
Yeah. He uses those calves more than just about anybody else in wrestling.
I was gonna say for him that would be it's a very important body part.
Yeah. By the way, our chat's hooking us up a little bit. Another Olympic champ that never won NCAA is Henry Cejudo.
I said world, not Olympic.
Oh,
world champ.
Oh, whatever. I actually hate it when people count those separately, JD.
Just for the record, I said world, not Olympic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then I mean, yeah, but dude, yeah, Burroughs he looked incredible, and I love how he's like the perfect guy to have as the ambassador for our sport, because just the things he says about
go watch his interview.
Yeah, his interview's amazing.
I don't care if you work 18 hours a day, take the 9 minutes or whatever it was to listen to his interview, because it truly makes you appreciate not just the wrestler but the person he is.
Yes. And all that stuff's great, but also like he's willing to like dive into the technical details of the match. And he talked about like the Iranian game plan to keep his feet super far apart, trying to prevent Burroughs from getting his knees together on that double, and Burroughs was like, oh, when I saw that, he's like, perfect. This guy's really he's not gonna shoot. He's got nothing for me. His game plan. He thinks it's gonna slow me down, but really, it's like perfect for me. So, and that's what
the guy really had nothing to offer him. He was literally just trying to keep it close, and then there was no threats or anything like that to Jordan. And another one when we think about like stock up, stock down. We talked about Gilman. I mean, obviously Burroughs is going to be thought of as one of the all-time greats, but then when he doesn't make the team against Dake in April, it's kind of a stock down moment, right? And we're kind of thinking, okay, he's going to go into the twilight of his career, and then boom, he turns around, makes a world team, and wins his 6th world title. And now it's like, okay, who's going to beat him next year?
My perspective of him didn't change, for the record, because outside of Dake, he makes the team at 74. And like I think we all thought he could win a gold medal at 79. So,
but I feel like I thought there was a decent chance he was just going to say, you know what, I had a great run, I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm going to go coach and do my thing. So the fact that he came back and won another world title, I think that speaks a lot after he didn't make the team in 20 or 20. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
yeah. It's amazing, and I don't know if there's anybody else that the wrestling community collectively loves to watch win more than Jordan Burroughs. Like, it's just like social media just immediately blows up every time Jordan Burroughs wins a title, and it's like, I don't know, we want to be part of history. Like, we want our witnessing of this to be historic and important and whatever. And Burroughs just like he loves playing into that. He does that well. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy. It unites the wrestling world in a way that I've never seen anything else unite the wrestling world.
Makes you appreciate the level of Kyle Dake's wrestling at too.
Oh my gosh.
Two matches in the Olympic trials finals, not that close, to be honest.
Yeah. And when we were talking about like the all-time list before the Olympic Games, we were all asking Dake, Taylor, all these guys. We thought, okay, Burroughs has 5 titles, and by the end of October, by right now, it was like, well, Dake could have 3, Taylor could have 4, and now both of those guys got.
Taylor only had 1 previously because he got hurt, right?
Yeah, but we were saying after Olympics and Worlds, they had 2.
Dake could have had 4 and Taylor could have had 3.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know what I said, but yes, that's right. And it was like, and then you're thinking like, well, dude, if these guys both win out through 24, then all of a sudden these guys are going to have, they're going to have the same or more than Burroughs in that period of time. And now like each guy won 1 title out of the 2, but they also lost a match during the 2, and it just. It kind of puts Burroughs into perspective a little bit too, that like the fact of Burroughs not going perfect is now a lot more, it's a lot more commonplace now that these other 2 greats have taken a loss. And then it really puts John Smith into perspective, because that dude did it 6 straight times.
John Smith
took a loss.
Took a loss.
You're right.
Which is very unique.
Point. That's a great point.
Yeah.
But man, this is the history that we're part of right now is like, it's going to take a long time to unpack, but so cool.
Yes. Yeah. And watch it continue to unfold. Okay, so Jaden at 92, our other guy that finished up yesterday, he looked great in his bronze medal match. And then obviously the Iranian beats the Russian in the final, so I guess that guy's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he's a top, definitely 20, possibly 15, 12 pound for pound guy in the world. He's really good. Jaden talked a little bit about it in his interview, saying, he needs to basically just saying he needs to shoot more. He needs to open up, that it was a mental thing. Actually, we have a clip. We can just hear exactly what he said.
He's a great competitor, and he had a great game plan. And I watched film, and I just didn't really do enough in that match. I can't expect to win matches close. Or at least I can't wrestle to win close. And I don't know if that was the case, but I do know, as far as mindset, but I do know after watching it over and over again, just didn't do enough. Didn't get going sooner. As soon as things started happening, we started wrestling, positions start working for me, and I know I can go that pace and I can hang with that pace, and there's no worse feeling. I was talking to Mike about it. There's no worse feeling walking off the mat and just being like, I should have done more, and I could have done more, right? So it's just what I got to do something with. I think that comes down to a mentality thing. I don't think there was anything technical. I mean, other than sprawling, I didn't do that correctly a couple times, so I need to do that. But a lot of things was more so just mentally being, hey, go out there and get it, and I didn't do that.
But the thing, and I don't want to dog on Jaden too much, but I feel like he's said this before. We've said this before, like when he wants to go and score against anybody in the world, he can basically do it. He just sometimes doesn't. And then there was like the whole, wrath of God thing after the Olympic trials, and it was like, okay, we're going to see Jaden unleash it. And we didn't see it. Obviously, we didn't see it here at the Worlds either. So, I hope next time around really is different, and he really does, really get to his offense against the best guys in the world.
He said something else in the interview that made me think that he has competing voices in his head, like not in his head, but actual, coaching voices. Like some guys are trying to tell him like how to game plan for an opponent. Other guys are telling him, and he said this in his interview, he's like, I'm a freak. He's like, I am athletically a freak, which like is weird to hear somebody say about themselves because it feels like they're bragging. But like in his case, it's just true, and it's important for him to know that, like, and have that in mind it's just a fact. And he's like, if I'm a freak, but I have a game plan to like avoid this thing so he doesn't get to this shot and avoid this and whatever, I can't act like a freak. I can't do the things athletically that give me an advantage. Like I just don't, I minimize that advantage. And I do wonder how much he's trying to balance these competing coaching voices of like, because most coaches are not free. Most people, period. Like most wrestlers aren't.
Most wrestlers should game plan for their opponents.
Yes, most should game plan. Usually, to avoid game planning is like, that's missing an important part of the process. But in Jaden's case, it's not that he just needs to completely let it fly and not know anything about the opponent, but like really getting in exchanges is how he's going to score. And like if he only got, think about the Gassimpor match. He really only got into like 3-ish like real wrestling exchanges, and that's. He lost one of them, so then it makes it really hard for him to win. If he would have been in 10 exchanges, you just wonder how the match would have gone. But I do think it's like it's got to be hard or strange or a different experience for Jaden than most, where you're really trying to weigh whose opinion to trust and what to do. It's something that not very many people can relate to, I don't think.
Sure. So I actually just had this conversation with an athlete last night. You said, JD, you said he has said this before, which he has, right? But we as humans are flawed. And just because we want to do something doesn't mean we're going to be able to execute on it all the time. And so obviously Jaden realizes this in practice, like logically he realizes that's the best way. But for probably so many years of his life, he's really gotten away with wrestling another way because he is such a good wrestler. And he does have really athletic skills. And so now at the World Championships, he's at the point where like I can't wrestle these close matches. I got to fire. Whereas like someone like JB has just like since I saw this dude in 2007, all he did was fire. He wasn't even very good back then, right? He didn't play the NCAAs that year, but this dude was fire. He just kept firing the whole time. And so the conversation I was having with the athlete last night, because he has really good skills, but sometimes doesn't pull the trigger frequently. And I was like, it's absolutely a mental decision to pull the trigger, right? You have to tell yourself, pull the trigger. And like I said, so with Jaden, he's even winning NCAA titles, probably not pulling the trigger as frequently as he could do, right? Because he's so skilled as a wrestler, and then obviously athletically on top of that. So to train yourself to be disciplined enough to do that and do it, it's gonna be hard. And then the more you do it, it gets easier and easier and easier. And then all of a sudden, at some point, you get to be Jordan Burroughs, and it's just default. All you do is fire. Like you just go and go and go and go. And that's kind of where Jaden needs to get to. And he can say it, and he knows he's smart enough to know that that's the case. But to actually be able to execute on it is a really hard thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, totally. It is it's super hard thing, and like the more he does that, the more it's going to open up his defensive prowess too, right? You get a takedown, now all of a sudden this dude has to shoot, and now his reattack stuff is opened up, and that arsenal is in play. Whereas with the Gaziantep match yesterday, it was the template for, if you have the skills, how to beat Jaden Cox, right? Like don't let him get out to a lead.
He can stay around. Yep.
Yeah,
stand around, wait for his really good shot for Gaziantep. He got that really pick when his attacks came.
We were talking about like this on the first night when Jaden was wrestling. Like you can see in his motion, and this is something that I just got a message from Phil Arnold. That's his uncle, Jaden's uncle. Like you can see in his motion, you can see when he's moving, when he's feeling it, like. Okay, Jaden's like really about to let it fly. He's really feeling it. He's really moving. And then every once in a while you don't see it. And it's just kind of, once he's moving and he's letting it fly, it's just, it's lights out, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that was pretty much
all the dudes.
All the Americans from yesterday, yeah. Freaking Gadziev continues to be the thorn in America's side.
He's so annoying.
He's so annoying.
He's retired already.
Dude,
Gadziev's so annoying.
He stands there.
Doesn't do anything.
He has no facial expressions. He's just like a he's annoying just to look at. And then he goes out there and freaking stands around. It doesn't do anything. I don't know that I've ever seen him like hit a level change. His stance and motion drills in the room must be like, his coaches must be so like frustrated with him, but it works somehow. And he continues to be a thorn in our side. It's just like, that guy's the worst.
Such a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
The next time we have a bet about gambling odds or any of that, whoever loses has to watch an hour straight of Gadziev matches. You gotta sit in the room and you gotta watch an hour straight of Gadziev matches.
Are stuck open like
yes,
this.
You're not allowed to blink. That should be the penalty.
Which, by the way, Bray, you officially locked up the
first place.
Yep, and Ben, you officially locked up last place.
Wait, no, I could win. I could still win the Americans bet. I bet $300.
You could win that one. You would still be in the negative though. I locked up positive money.
Oh yeah, I lost money for sure, guaranteed. I lost money, definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about the girls because they're
one second. Before the girls, I want to talk about the girls. But one thing I wanted to circle back to is okay, Iran. I think yes. After yesterday, yesterday the conversation was like, what's going on, and Ben,
I still think it's going on.
I know you still
special vitamins,
but I've been thinking about it a little bit more. And one, they had a little more of a realistic, like human, performance since then. Okay. But also, one of the things that I think we didn't give them credit for was the age level success that they've had, which has been. I think predicting or forecasting that at some point they were going to make a move in the upward direction. I still don't know if it's this big a move, but that's one of the things that we didn't talk about, right? It's like, yeah, we've seen their senior level performances, but also you look back at the last like 3 or 4 years of their cadet and junior performances, and we knew like they're getting this stable full of horses and they're ready to make a move. They've kind of finally did it. Like little Yazdani, he's kind of been on the cusp of something like this. It's like if Yanni went out and won a world title this year, like no one should have said, well, hey, the U.S. has had terrible performance at 65. We've seen Yanni coming for a long time, right?
Dayton never senior world medal and he got it done.
Yeah, so I do think,
now those ponies are running.
The ponies have left the stable. They're running, and I think Iran is in some ways. Like we could have seen this coming based on their age level performances. Maybe not to this degree, but also it's a lighter field, and this is a group that was like, I think, ready to make a big move forward. If this move is nobody would have predicted this, but if you would have said, hey, these guys and based on the success they've had at the age level, they may be coming, I think a lot of people would have agreed on that.
Fair enough.
All right, let's talk about the ladies.
And special.
It was a good morning for the women.
Yeah.
They went 7-1, and all three. Jenna got pulled back into repechage. She won a repechage match. She'll be wrestling for bronze shortly here.
I think she's gonna win. I think the matchup it suits her. I think she's
got India.
Yeah,
correct.
Yep. And her Indian opponent is like
has a sweet name, Pinky.
Pinky.
What a great name.
Yeah, that's a great name for somebody to finish 5th in the world. I think she. So looking
Finger
at
number 5.
that is, it's the 5th finger. Congrats. Her resume is like okay, not great, and just looking at her wrestling style, I think Jenna matches up well with her. I think Jenna's going to get it done.
I think so too. Sarah, Forrest, and Adeline all made the semis. Sarah and Adeline both
No
dominant.
competition.
Yep, there. And Amy Fernside, she dropped her first match to Poland. She's still available to get pulled back into repechage, but the Polish girl does have Japan, a really young but good Japanese girl next. So that one could be in some trouble. The Japanese girl, I believe, is just 17.
Oh my gosh! Wait, but she would have to turn 18 within this calendar year in order to be eligible.
Wow, she's the Kylie Walker of Japan.
Yes.
Hey, before we go on about the girls too, Chael's whining about the schedule on Twitter all the time. There's this really funny sketch. I don't know if you guys know Greg Warren, the comedian. He's from
of course.
He's been on the show,
Okay.
actually.
He runs this gimmick. He's got this one comedy bit about how old people would only like if the baseball announcers did the score. So they said that his grandpa turns on the game and they said they're never saying the score. I don't know what the score is. He said my grandpa's perfect game is the score is 3-2. The one team has 3, the other team has 2. The score is 3-2.
Yes.
The one team scored 3 runs, the other team scored 2 runs, and they would. This is like Chael. We need to tell Chael the schedule constantly. So Chael, at 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time this morning, there will be the semifinals for the 4 women. After that, at 11 a.m., there will be the finals for 70, 97, and then the other 2 women's weights.
Yes.
And we can tell him this like 3 times over the rest of the show. What do you think?
And we should also tell him that there's a schedule tab on the event page for a reason. At the beginning,
Well, I can get that. It is kind of confusing. It's a little. I'll agree with him. I couldn't find it a couple times. Now I got it in my brain. But
It also has all the weights and American Athletes Wrestling
links,
right there.
with links to their bios. You can click on it. You can go watch all their matches.
okay, but the problem here's the problem, guys. So if you got it right there now. So I used to think you just had it down here, this bottom thing right there. But now if you click on the event, it's there too. So I only watch the matches on my computer. It's right there. So Chael, look at if you look at your phone, it says schedule right there. Boom, you click on it. How great! Is this essential? Hey, what time is this in? Does it adjust for our time?
Look at the top. At the top, it says all times in Eastern Standard Time.
We need to do essential. There's not the Eastern's it's a foregone thing. We don't need to put times in Eastern. We'll just put them in Central Standard Time.
Hey, Ben, I appreciate you doing that tutorial on the screen. But Chael, listen, if Ben Askren is your IT guy, like you
are bad at technology.
You got to figure it out. You got to look yourself in the mirror. If Ben Askren's your IT guy, look yourself in the mirror and figure it out.
Christian sent me that schedule. He did a custom for me in Central Standard Time, and I saved the picture, and I've been referencing that. It's really been helping a lot.
Yes,
it's great.
I'm
my IT guy by nature.
So did we talk about Sarah Hildebrandt yet? I mean, just like
no,
she's dominant on the mat. Take a girl down, lace her a bunch of times, get off the mat.
She gets on top, and it's like when she can transition into lace, it's like it's over. But even when she doesn't, it's like she's just like she's so good at locking it up. Even when they have knees completely spread apart, there's like it's the position where you're not supposed to be able to lock it up.
In there.
It helps. She's very long and tall for the weight.
Yeah. She gets it. She's able to get it, and then she's able to get the legs like completely straight, go, and it's just. I mean, it's just over. Like.
Yes.
She looks unstoppable.
The other girl in her weight class on the other side, Yoshimoto, obviously that Japan, you guys see how good they are. How good is she? Can Sarah take her out?
Sarah can take her out. She's good though.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking up to see.
Well, while you look that up, Adeline Gray's semifinal is going to be really important for the team race. Her opponent from Egypt beat the Japanese woman in the quarters. So not only can Adeline earn us a whole bunch of points by punching her ticket to the finals, but she can eliminate a Japanese wrestler as well, which is really important. And
Nice.
and you know, it's the other match that's going to be really important. That's going to be a little bit, I think, tougher for our team is at 53 kilos. So Amy Fernside lost, and her opponent from Poland has a Japanese wrestler in the semis. So that's a big match for the team race. So
That's the really young one that I was talking about. She's a cadet world champ.
So both Fujinami for Japan and Adeline Gray for the U.S. have an opportunity to not only make the finals but eliminate their biggest opponent in the team race. So those are huge. So I'm curious about that. Forrest Molinari has a head-to-head match with Japan in the semis, and man, Forrest got a big win against world finalist Kumba Laroque of France. She just really beat her up, and you could tell Laroque was dealing with a leg injury, but even still, she got to the takedown against Forrest, and it was like, man, Forrest had to come up clutch, and she got one late. That's a massive win for her, even if Laroque's
was
not at
Laroque
100%.
at 68 at the Olympics? I feel like I remember. Did she wrestle? Did she wrestle? Oh my gosh, how am I'm blanking on her name right now.
Tamira,
yes, thank you.
I can't remember if she wrestled Tamira at the Olympics, but she beat Tamira at the 2018 World Championships.
That's
really?
what kept Tamira from winning gold.
Yes.
I feel like she wrestled Tamira. Maybe it was 2019 Worlds or 2021 Olympics.
Yeah, Tamira has gotten that win back, but yeah, she's got that win. That win over Tamira. I mean, we talked about like a guy like Jaden, like needing to figure out pull the trigger and that kind of thing. I feel like if Jaden has a rematch with Gassenpour and he does pull the trigger, he can get that win.
For sure.
It was the same kind of match when Laroque beat Tamira back in 2018. It was like you could tell Tamira had the tools, she had the weapons, but she just, for whatever reason, like wasn't pulling the trigger, and she took the loss. And this is, since then, she's like really made that discovery, and she's committed to wrestling that way. And you've seen the results. Like, she's now maybe number one pound for pound woman in the country or in the world. And
I think Tamira is for sure.
So that's Kumba Laroque's, like, she's kind of the one that I think really made her figure out, all right, I've got to actively decide to wrestle this way, and if I do, I can, sky's the limit for me. So for Forrest to get that win over Laroque is really important, and a big positive sign for her career.
Yeah, huge win.
Both Sarah's potential Japanese opponent and Forrest's opponent this round are age level world champions, but have taken losses. They're not untouchable. Sarah's actually lost at the 2019 Tokyo test event. That was the last time we've seen her wrestle. She lost a tough one to China, had a close one with Victoria Anthony. So it'll be tough, but she's definitely beatable, and I would say Sarah's the favorite.
Yeah. So, hey, I can't remember, who was the one that you guys were going off on that was so good, the Japanese girl?
And at this tournament?
Yeah, it's good. She was going to be here, but she was not at the Olympics. Maybe it was a 53, or do you remember or no?
Who was that? Man, I don't know. It could honestly be like anybody on the team. Was it
I feel like it was someone that wasn't in the Olympics, so it was probably a 53 or maybe a 57.
Oh, 72 will be pretty good, because I remember I was saying a lot of Americans were like Blade's senior world champion, and I was saying not so fast. She's not she's not prodigy like some of the Japanese women we've seen come through, but she's good.
Furiuchi, and she's the one wrestler on this Japanese team that already has a senior level medal, right?
Yes.
Everybody else is like age level champs, but she's the one that has a senior level medal. I think it was bronze.
It was bronze. So obviously, like I said, not prodigy, but still good nonetheless.
This team race, I mean, we've talked about the team race for the men. The team race for the women is like Japan and the U.S. are in basically identical positions right now. I mean, they both have one woman wrestling for gold, one for bronze later today. They both have 3 in the semis and 1 with the possibility of getting eliminated during the semis by somebody from another country, and 1 head-to-head matchup. So we're gonna learn a lot about the team race after this next session. We're wrestling really, really well. So hopefully we get it done.
Who's on your flow zone for the semis today?
Right
Ray
here,
and myself.
up top.
That's it. You guys didn't have a guess because Colin Moore did a pretty good job yesterday. What'd you think?
Yeah, he did do a good job. It was fun to have Colin on, and especially it's really nice to have people who have trained with or competed against people who are in the field, which Colin had.
JD this morning had Lauren Mason and Emma Bruntill on, which is great because Emma was in that 65 final with Forrest, and she was able to talk about her physicality and some of that kind of stuff. And so it was cool to hear from Lauren and Emma this morning.
Nice. You know what we didn't even talk about on the show? That freaking Kyle Snyder semifinal. How close was that?
Oh
That
my
was
God.
wild. I really thought he was going to finish he was in on a high crotch, like maybe 15, 20 seconds prior to where he eventually scored. And he was in so deep, and I could not believe he didn't finish. And after that, I'm like, oh man, that might be it for him. How did you guys feel about Galage getting 2 shot clock points? Because that would have, if Kyle doesn't get this takedown, that's what wins him this match, is that he's got 2 shot clock points and Kyle had 1.
I mean, he controlled center the whole time, and that's the way basically passivity is called. Unless it's a lot of shots to 0 shots, and it's got to be a lot of shots, it's going to be who's controlling center that's going to get the calls. So I at least wasn't surprised by it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's so obviously if it was 1-1, Kyle's going to win on the shot clock point. I feel like there should be some caveat, like someone has to score a real point. We cannot freaking do this on just shot clock points. It's so annoying because generally on shot clock points, at least on a push out, someone pushed someone out. On shot clock points, no one got nothing. Like, someone's got to score an effing point here. We ain't ending this thing. That's what I feel like. I feel like they should never give a third shot clock point. It should be a 1-1. And if it's all shot clock points, we just put the clock on and say someone's got to score here. I know you guys love the criteria thing, but I can't deal with the only shot clock points. It annoys the crap out of me.
I don't hate the not a third shot clock point.
Yeah, I mean, just like no one scored. Why are we giving? Essentially, I don't want to say we're giving out. Even if you leave it 2-2, or if it goes 2-1. On all shot clock points, I don't want to say we're giving a win, but we a little bit are, just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not gonna lie though, Galage kind of blew this one.
Oh yeah,
he took
big time.
He took a shot on, or level change at least, on Kyle on the edge there late, and that's how Kyle was able to throw him by. We have the clip here. He's in terrible position, waits till Kyle digs the underhook on the other side, and then for some reason tries to shoot him off to get the point, even though he's winning. And he's so exhausted, Kyle's able to just throw him by.
If he had gotten that point, though, I mean, that would have been massive for him, right? Like, so I think that's why he's going there.
But there was so little time left. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with JD. Is like it was what 7 seconds left. It's kind of an unnecessary risk to a certain point.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe because Kyle's going to be forced to try to jack that up, or maybe throw it by, or attack it somehow.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He wasn't even in good position. His head was kind of buried in the chest, and his arms were up here because Kyle had dug double underhooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that match from Henry to Glane where Gilman kind of did a similar thing on the edge and just over pursued, trying to kind of, just ice the match, close it out, whatever. And dude, I mean, but hats off to Snyder. He had very little window there, and he went through it. And
oh yeah, tip of the cap. He took advantage.
all right, I got a question for you, JD. You wrote earlier, like before Worlds, that Snyder Sadulaev is the greatest wrestling rivalry of all time.
Yes.
And we're going to see it again for we're gonna see it for the fourth time, the match for the fourth time, but for the third time probably with the team race on the line. It just adds to the rivalry. But Taylor Yazdani now, how close is it?
Oh yeah, that's a good.
It's still second fiddle, but it is right up there, and it became so much more interesting now that Yazdani actually got a win.
Yes,
if
that's what I'm
Taylor
saying.
wins, won this round, it's like write it off.
Yeah,
Even if
fair
Yazdani
enough,
won the
yes.
next one, then it's still very one-sided, and it's almost getting that way with Sadulaev winning. But yeah,
Kyle needs to get this one or one very soon in order to make it to continue the rivalry. If Sadulaev keeps winning, and in reality, so the pin was kind of fluky, obviously, but the Olympics, I know it was 6-3, but that last takedown was kind of and so it really wasn't like, oh my gosh, nail biter in it to the end. It was kind of over relatively early. If he wins this one convincingly, then I would actually go the other way. I would go Yazdani Taylor. I'm more excited to see the next one, and it's better rivalry.
yeah, I would be. I'm definitely, especially if Sadulaev wins, I am more excited to see Yazdani Taylor next. But in terms of like historical context,
Yeah.
I still think Kyle Snyder Sadulaev is a better rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, you say second fiddle. I think it's a dueling banjos situation because
Dueling banjos.
You know what I'm saying?
What?
These two rivalries are like they're so different in terms of what they've meant. Like that they're a little bit hard to compare. The fact of the team races just makes Snyder
That's the extra
Sadulaev
notch
like
in the belt. USA versus Russia.
yeah, and like so I can think of probably no greater moment watching a wrestling match than
2017.
2017.
Yes.
Snyder gets it done
That
in
was
like the
awesome.
craziest, most improbable way. Incredible match. That was amazing. But the thing about Taylor and Yazdani
Wait,
is
JD,
like,
why do you say crazy, most improbable? I'm curious to that.
What do I say? What now?
No, I'm sorry. David said crazy and most improbable.
I mean,
way.
just the
What-
late score, right? Like just the fact that Snyder ran him down, like that Snyder
Yeah.
comes out way too aggressive, like jumps over him, gives up these points. It's like, oh man, like he doesn't have a chance. And also I guess just improbable because of how the fact of the tournament ending that way, that it, like the circumstances were the way they were. The U.S. hadn't won a title since I think '95, so it's just like all of the stuff. It was improbable that the match was happening. Period. And then for him to get that late win the way that he did against a guy that's so hard to score on
Yes.
was also improbable. That made that match
Okay.
just
Fair enough.
crazy. But the thing about Taylor and Yazdani is that both those guys have had a path to victory every time they've wrestled. Like it's never been certain. With 1 minute left in the match, it's never been certain necessarily who's going to win that. And so that the matches themselves between those two guys are like so fun. So I don't know, man. I think I'm with you that
Right now.
Snyder Sadulaev
Right
now
now.
is the greatest wrestling rivalry of all time. But dude, Yazdani just made that a whole lot closer of a
And
conversation.
especially if Iran continues the success and is in the team title contention race for the next couple of years, that helps a lot as well. Because a big reason why Sadulaev Snyder is so big is because it's USA versus Russia.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good like Iran having a performance like this, by the way, is so good for wrestling.
Yeah.
Back in like 2011, 2012, when there were photos of like Burroughs and Sargouche and what's his name from Iran, Goodarzi, all like arms around each other. It's like not only three countries politically that are so different, but like three just complete wrestling tradition-rich places, all having success, all doing well. It's just a really, really good thing. It's better
Yes.
when it's more countries in the mix than just USA and Russia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hey, so something was brought up in the chat about people wrestling for other countries. So I'm just making my list of because I knew there was a bunch. I love Americans. You guys know I love opportunity. I love Americans wrestling for other places. Anytime we can get more, because there's only so many spots. There's only 10 spots for Americans on American rosters, but we have. I'm making my list, so I'll tell you how far I've gotten. And I know we have a few left. So we have Micic, two Amins. We have Miles and Malik. We have Seabass, Real Budo, Abinator, Tafur, Fine Silver, Ethan Ramos. Who else am I missing on here? But I'm hoping this trend continues and we have more and more Americans wrestling for other countries.
Did you say Yusuf Hamida?
I did not say Hamida. There's another one. My list is getting very large. How do you guys feel about this? Are you like Christian where you're like, I don't like it? And one of the other funny things that I think about this list is like we think about Russians going to other countries. Generally speaking, they're competing pretty well at these world championships. I mean, maybe not. Well, some of them are placing, not all of them. But, when you think about the list, obviously Micic and Amin. Miles Amin's a funny one because obviously he now has an Olympic medal, but you would say he probably is not going to beat David Taylor, right? But the rest of these guys, you're like, well, none of them are really going to challenge to make the U.S. team. They're kind of a little further down the list, Yeah. And so it's funny because you're not seeing the 2, 3, 4, 5 guy go to. It's not like we're seeing Nick Soriano or say Seth Gross or some of these other guys who are really close. It's the guys who are a little further down that are going other places.
I think it's awesome. I've said for a while, Cliff Keen specifically, they're the place that's doing it the most. At it. And it's like it's an innovative way to put your RTC on the map and be a distinguishing part of what you're doing. Like who are the best wrestlers in that room?
Well, I mean the Cliff Keen is great because, like I said, Miles Amin ain't beating David Taylor. I'm sorry.
Even in their own RTC, is he beating Daringer?
That's what got Kozak the job. I got all pissed about it. I'd still like to see it. We still haven't seen that match. We still haven't seen it.
We haven't seen that match, but that's a great point, right? Like or that's a great example. That's the microcosm that illustrates what you can do by employing that strategy, right? You got Amin in the Olympics, which is huge. Daringer was in the World Team Trials finals. He's been in the World Team Trials finals multiple times. He's clearly elite, one of the best guys in the world. But Amin, he goes to the World Championships. In fact, goes head-to-head with an American. David Taylor beats him, so it's not a threat to DT. And brings home a medal for Michigan, right? He's recognized at a football game. Massive. Yes. We want wrestlers at the 50-yard line during Big Ten football games. And that's a good way to do it. It doesn't happen if he doesn't do it that way.
Yeah, and so Micic too. Micic was the number 1 seed in the Olympics. He, man, and I don't know. Maybe he makes the American team. Maybe he beats Gilman or Fix. But I don't think there's a guarantee on that at all. And so other ones. Someone in the chat saying Valencia to Mexico. I believe Ruben is actually Spanish, not Mexican. I believe he's told me that. But yeah, at 86, he's placing at the Worlds a lot of times. Maybe not every time, but he is placing a lot of times for sure.
Yeah.
World medalist.
100%.
Yeah. Colin Moore yesterday was on the call, and one of the bronze medalists, or one of the guys in the bronze medal match, I think the guy ended up losing, but he has a win over that guy, right?
What can he wrestle for? He looks European of some sort, maybe
Norwegian.
Serbia. He goes Norwegian. Norway. There we go. Let's do it.
He could have won it on his home turf.
Keith Gothard in the chat said he's trying to get his son into Viking country to wrestle. So I don't know if he's joking or serious, but hey, let's get Apollo in there and put him on Team Norway. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. I love it, and it just adds more possible medals.
Hey,
and one of the things we talk about.
Go ahead. I got a question for you guys after your thought, Ben.
Well, with Russia, is we rarely see the number 2 beat the number 1, and every once in a while it happens. I think it actually happened yesterday.
He didn't beat the number 1. Sidakov wasn't there. Sokazanov.
Oh, he beat the rep. He beat the rep at the Worlds. It very rarely happens, but it does happen. So yeah, I'm good. I would love to see it happen. I'm good with it. What's up, Bray?
First of all, Keith said they really are going to try that. He's not joking. They are going to try that, which is great. Here's what I'm very curious about. We've seen over the course of the last 50 years, a handful of international wrestlers come to the United States, wrestle at the NCAA level, and have some success. Some of them done really well. Some have done okay. Some haven't done well. Whatever. On the women's side of things, there is no reason not to recruit as many international hammers as you can. It's freestyle.
For real.
They're not learning new stuff. Like think about, and especially like you think about where at most universities where most international students come from, it's the Asian countries that have money. So it's, China, Japan, Korea, those are like 3 of the countries that export the most international
really
students.
Too.
Like, dude, imagine if these NCAA programs or even, the programs that already exist that are NAIA or whatever, like they start recruiting Japan's 2s and 3s to come study for 4 years and compete.
Seriously.
Like, why wouldn't you? I would be all over that if I was a coach.
Absolutely.
Be a coach, dude.
All right.
Be coach.
All right, guys. I gotta start coaching.
There's at least one Power 5 program looking for a coach.
That's true.
How, I don't know if funny is the right word, but if Iowa just filled their team with 90 to 100% of foreign wrestlers,
Japanese squad.
It would be kind of funny. Yeah.
What
if it's just pure Japan? Like,
yes.
Yeah,
It'd be freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's 9:17. I think we got to get out of here, regroup before the semifinal round.
Regroup.
Yep.
Let's go, girls. Crush it.
That's right.
Let's go Captain America. Let's
go Captain America. USA. Next time, we
US Day.
have FRL tomorrow morning. It'll be our last one of the week. Team USA, world champs.
I hope so. Let's see it.
Talk to y'all tomorrow.